Hey guys, welcome back. We are back in Skagit Valley here at Christianson's Nursery with the man himself, John Christianson. I thought, what could we be doing right now in our garden? And I was thinking about, I feel like I'm still a student and I'm learning a lot about gardening and all of the things, right? And I thought, okay, John Christianson is probably one of the world's best plantsmen. We know this. You really are. You're well-traveled, you're a gardener, you have this amazing nursery. So I thought, let's come up, talk to John and see what we could be doing in our gardens right now. And I also want to pick your brain about some trends that are coming up in the garden world in 2026. So John and I are going to walk around. You get to see what's happening at the nursery right now. And then we want to learn from you on what we can be doing in our gardens in the wintertime.
Well, we're so lucky to be here today because it's not pouring down rain.
I know.
And yet they're talking about an atmospheric river tonight.
Yikes. Okay, well, we have that to look forward to.
Something we don't really worry about here at the nursery, but you know where you are if you have those issues.
Yeah.
But it is kind of newsworthy. We're going to get a lot of rain, which, by the way, is great for plants and great to proceed or to plant preceding that, which is what we did just an hour ago. We planted 8 purple-leaved poplars, a variety of Populus deltoides called purple tower. Wow. And we're planting them as a windbreak. So they're all planted, and now they get watered in tonight, and I won't have to think about watering for 6 more months.
That's fantastic. He literally came up, like, I just finished planting, and I was like, yes, you did. He is a true gardener. So we were just gonna walk around, jump in, and then hear from this genius on what we need to be doing right now. So right now, we're the first couple of weeks of December. So what does gardening look like for you this time of year?
Well, first of all, like I said, perfect time to plant. You should rush out, just dig holes right now. Don't buy the plants, just dig the holes.
Dig the holes.
The weather's cooperative momentarily because it's gonna rain a lot. So it's hard to find a time to plant in December when it's not raining. However, the best time to plant so many plants is right now. This is still fall, we're at the end of fall. And fall planting is the best planting season for most hardy trees and shrubs. The hard part is being inspired by some plants that are dormant. So we'll go look at some of those. And those that are easy to sell. Easy to sell right now are hellebores. This is Helleborus niger. So niger is the earliest to bloom. Mind you, with all the breeding efforts going on right now, there are varieties that we'd always have suggested didn't bloom till later are blooming now. Look at this one here. It looks like a Helleborus orientalis. And look at the size of that flower. So this is called it's a winter ballet series called Linnea. And look at the size of that. So it has Niger foliage, but orientalis flowers. And it's December. I mean, it's amazing. So it is so exciting for nurseries to have something as colorful as hellebores, as hardy as hellebores, and now as diverse. Because Helleborus niger used to come in how many colors? White, 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 and white. They're all white. So they're all white. And white is fine, but to have choices now with all the new breeding efforts. This one with this awesome colorful foliage, you know, just the leaves on that. It's a variety called Snow Fever.
Snow Fever,
So great foliage, hardy as can be. But then, you know, there are these things like Liatris. I mean, pretty hard to get excited, but super healthy crown. Awesome roots. It's going to grow like crazy. Get it in the ground now. It'll continue rooting for the next several months. And we have mild winters. Roots will continue to grow. Then in the spring, when they erupt with new growth, they'll be better prepared for the dry summer ahead. You'll have to water less. They'll be more established. You gain a whole year by planting in the fall versus spring planting.
No kidding. I never thought about that.
Well, spring planting is irresistible.
Right.
And we don't discourage it.
Right.
Fall planting is resistible because it's the weather, the plants going dormant, and yet the plants love it to get in the ground, to be rooting out. So when they grow in the spring, they're a little more established.
So we live in the Pacific Northwest, so I would say that our winters are pretty mild.
Absolutely.
Compared to the rest of the country. I plant in the wintertime. If I can dig a hole, I will plant it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what not to plant? I mean, there are those kind of we'd call it zone 8 plants, those somewhat tender things. you know, maybe a very popular plant would be Clematis armandii, evergreen clematis. Wonderful, vigorous, the most popular of all evergreen vines. But it'll get hammered if we have a bad winter. You know, it's a good example of one of the few things that is really popular but best planted in the spring. However, witch hazels, which by the way, these are all witch hazels.
You have a ton.
We've got so many different varieties.
Beautiful.
Barnstedt Gold, which is an intermedia, a cross with japonica crossed with mollis. Of course, they all look the same right now. Bonnie Brook, it's a mollis variety. We know all the mollis varieties are exceedingly fragrant. The intermedias are sometimes fragrant and sometimes not very fragrant. So this is another mollis called Freedom. I mean, look at all these. This one is so heavily budded, and it is intermedia Cyril. Cyril, who's ever heard of that?
I haven't.
We've got the best selection of witch hazels of any nursery, I think, in the Western United States right now. And we're hoping that people will appreciate what we have.
Yeah, Sergey's gonna be so jealous because he is a witch hazel fanatic.
And he's not here right now.
He's not here today, so, but we're coming back next week, and I 100% guarantee you he's going to come and get some witch hazel.
Well, and most of them, when they flower is when they sell, and they're just on the cusp of that. Starting in December, mollis will start to flower. We have Virginiana and Vernalis that are actually done blooming. They're some of the North American native types that generally smaller flowers, but flower in October and November. So we've got those, the mollis, the intermedias, probably over 30 different varieties.
Oh my goodness.
It's the best selection we've ever had. So we'll see if the enthusiasm's there. But again, like with hellebores, witch hazels flower in the winter, and we're all crying out for color when the days are dark and gray.
Would you say that these two plants are going to be like the ones that every gardener should try to have in their garden?
Absolutely.
For seasonal interest right now?
I mean, absolutely. For winter interest. Mind you, it's a fairly short list. Witch hazels right at the top. Hellebores right at the top. Winter heaths and heathers clearly have always been popular for color. And we'll wrap around and look at some camellias as well. Okay. So those are all, you know, you could easily have a spectacular winter color garden given all the choices there are. But again, spring fever, you overlook everything that was flowering in the winter, and most gardens are flowering in the spring.
Right, right. Would you say that as a gardener and somebody who's traveled and you've seen so many beautiful gardens and created so many beautiful gardens throughout your time, do you feel like winter is the dreaming time for gardening? Because I feel like that's when we have more time on our hands, not necessarily in the garden, but it's when the excitement starts to stir up. Do you feel that?
Absolutely. It's funny. I mean, here we are, December, and I mean, spring is on all of our minds. We're thinking spring. We're preparing for winter, but thinking spring. And it, your mind does start to think about spring color. Again, it's dark and gray, and with all of our winter interest plants, it's still you're thinking about the next year. And we're super excited. 2026 is going to be awesome. And that's, as a nursery owner or any business owner, that's what we always say.
It's going to be bigger and better.
It's almost always true. Here we're in magnolia land. Magnolias, we offer a lot of bare root trees and shrubs starting now. We got our first order in just this last week of pears, plums, cherries. This week we're getting apples, other fruit trees, and then shrubs and shade trees. Magnolias don't bear root well. So we always get them balled in burlap. So this is simply, you know, about a 15-inch root ball wrapped in burlap. The roots are intact. Obviously some are cut when they're dug, but the roots that remain are undisturbed in the native soil, and they transplant beautifully, especially right now. We offer balled and burlapped year-round, but right now they're dormant. There's no stress setting them out. There's always a argument about whether you should remove the burlap or wash out the old soil. Don't bare root. Most plants that are balled and burlapped are balled and burlapped because they don't like their roots disturbed. If they did, we'd have them bare root and be selling them like crazy, because bare root's so much fun. You can carry 5 trees per arm. You can walk away with an orchard. Makes you look heroic. These are, in fact, more sensitive. Therefore, they are dug with the native soil intact. We do recommend loosening the the burlap at the top, tucking it around the edge.
Yeah, so just like this, you remove the twine, but you leave the burlap.
And then tuck it in around the edge.
Got it.
Be aware, occasionally, I don't see any right here, they'll use synthetic twine. If there's synthetic twine, that's got to go.
Right.
But this twine, you know, by fall of the following year, it's all dissolving, even out of the ground as ours are kind of in the sawdust beds.
Okay.
It's all rotting away.
Okay.
It's entirely biodegradable.
I had no idea because I always thought you have to remove the burlap. I was always like a stickler. No, try to get all of the burlap out.
No, this burlap rots quickly. Now there is, I've seen some burlap that's a synthetic burlap, just hardly ever used. If you have that, you definitely want to remove it. But traditional burlap, the roots start emerging through it right away. By spring, these will have roots emerging through the burlap. You don't want to take the burlap off because you might take off the roots. Again, after they're in the ground, you can peel it away from the top and tuck it in. Also be aware, most of these trees are grafted, and you don't know that until you remove this upper part of the burlap, and then you'll see a graft union. And it's really important not to bury that graft union. The burlap sometimes disguises the top of the root ball, which is there, but some people might plant to there, which would then bury the graft union, and you would have slow death typically. Trees that are planted too deep slowly die.
Yes.
And 3 or 4 years later, when it's dead, you know, you're not associating planting depth with why it died, but it started in the beginning. So make sure that graft union and the top of the root ball is right near the surface. You can put lots of mulch around it. Mulching is great for you know, protecting the roots from severe cold, insulating them, helping reduce watering in the spring and control weeds. Mulching is great, but don't mount it up around the trunk.
Okay, so let me ask you a quick question about that. With mulching and composting, can you compost over mulch, or would you have to remove some of your mulch?
Well, like in our instance, what we just mulched our trees with was our compost.
Okay, so that's what we do too.
So mulch and compost is, they're synonymous. You compost your own organic material, making a mulch. But a mulch can also be, we just got in 80 yards of sawdust.
Wow, okay.
Mind you, we use that sawdust in our raised beds to insulate the roots. But it, in essence, is a mulch. You might have bark as a mulch. The challenge with bark and sawdust as a mulch is it's going to take away nitrogen from the soil until later on, as it breaks down, it'll release that nitrogen. So it's a good thing in the long run. In the short run, the benefits are insulation and reducing water usage, but you have to fertilize more.
Right.
Because if a plant is growing in heavily mulched with sawdust or bark, they look kind of anemic. They might grow more slowly. Eventually, and it takes 2 or 3 years, you know, that mulch will start to break down. So the woodier the mulch, the longer lasting it is, but also it will take away nitrogen in the earliest years.
So do you guys mulch, like in your personal garden? Do you mulch this time of year too?
My wife drives me crazy. There's not a scrap of food out of our kitchen that doesn't end up in the compost. And so it's, you know, the banana peel, where'd you put the banana peel? And it's got to go. We've got a compartment in our freezer. We throw it in the freezer so it doesn't stink. And then when that freezer bin is full, we dump it in the compost. So we do compost. And here we have a lot of fallen leaves. We try to avoid our most aggressive weeds, and that would be poison hemlock, Canadian thistle, horsetail. The really bad weeds go to the dumpster or the burn pile. But some less aggressive weeds end up in the compost. And a whole lot of dead plants. It's one of the sad things about owning a nursery is how many plants you end up discarding. They might be bedding plants from the spring that by fall, you know, those last 4 flats of geraniums. It's time to say goodbye. That
breaks my heart a little bit. Oh, that hurts.
We may have started out with 300 or 400 flats. So it's really you have to keep telling yourself that. And you know, certain plants that just kind of have run their course. It is the way it is in the nursery business. There's always a certain percentage. In fact, I can tell you, you know, we usually try to keep it around 5%. So when we're thinking, okay, if we threw away 4 flats of geraniums, that might be, you know, 1%. I mean, it's a really small number. So that's what we tell ourselves when we're throwing away plants that still might look good, but they didn't sell.
Right. There's a whole nother layer that I'm sure as consumers and customers, we don't think about that you guys do.
Yeah.
Can I just say right behind you, I see some, is that red twig dogwoods behind you?
Which ones are we looking at?
The red, or is that a maple? All the way in the back, those red
straight
twigs?
back. You're right. So that is one, no, it is the most popular Japanese maple that we sell during the winter months.
Okay.
And in fact, probably our most popular one year round, although it primarily sells now. And let's go take a look at it.
Okay, let's do it.
So common name, coral bark maple.
That's
Botanical name, Acer palmatum, which is simply Japanese maple. Sangokaku is the varietal name, commonly called coral bark maple. And it is awesome. The coral color is almost exclusively in the young wood. So these are, youngish trees, although 6 to 7 footers, that's a pretty good height, but it's still all younger wood. If you do nothing, they'll eventually just have colorful twigs towards the tips and not much down below. Japanese maples in general, we don't prune very much. They tend to have a naturally nice growth habit. You thin out the interior wood that might be struggling or dead, but otherwise the outline does not allow for a heavy pruning. Coral bark maples, you actually can prune a little bit more. You're constantly trying to stimulate new growth.
Right.
So you never cut the whole thing back, but selectively trimming back branches every year, even though it might have a nice shape, you want to keep stimulating new growth because the color is really most colorful the first year, diminishes the second year and gone by the third year. So, so you want to constantly encourage that new growth.
Okay, that's good to know.
For winter interest, there's nothing like it. We have one called Bihu, which is kind of a yellow colored one that's awesome. And there are a lot of beautiful Japanese maples, but for winter color, coral bark is by far the most popular.
Yeah, it's funny, we have one in our garden and we planted in an area that gets full sun. And we have a neighbor down the street and theirs is in a more shadier area. So, but the trees are about the same age. I feel like ours is brighter and more brilliant because it gets the full sun in the summertime.
That's probably true. Color on most maples is more brilliant in full sun than in the shade. There are exceptions, but in general, sun does encourage better color. Certainly the red leaf Japanese maples keep their red leaves in the sun. If they're in the shade, they don't really have much color at all. I mean, they're still pleasant. They still have a nice, maybe bronze color instead of purple. One last thing with coral bark is uniquely, they need exceptionally good drainage. Most Japanese maples are average. They can just take average. Coral bark maple needs a really well-drained soil. And that's not typical for all Japanese maples. So if you've had a Japanese maple or a coral bark maple that suffered, sometimes the average conditions that is typical was not good enough for coral bark maple. They need sharp drainage.
That's a good point to know.
In other words, they don't grow here. We can't grow them in the Skagit Valley.
Okay, that's good to know.
Because our drainage is, it's pretty soggy in the winter, heavier soil, flat ground. They don't do well here. We have them in sawdust, we sell lots of them, but we don't grow them here in the ground.
In the actual ground. Interesting. So now, so planting is task to be doing right now. And if you're here in the Pacific Northwest, even into wintertime. So that's something that we can do as gardeners, really start thinking about that. What about cutting back things? Do you do any really major cutbacks during this time of year?
Well, right now it's mostly perennials.
Perennials,
So if you're growing peonies, herbaceous perennials, cut them back, clean them up. Shasta daisies, you'll know the ones in your garden that look shabby, they've died down. Now's an excellent time to prune those back. Trees and shrubs, generally we wait till the beginning of the year. What was I just looking at recently? Oh, we've got this willow.
Oh, okay.
It grew so much in 1 year. So we have a pond, it's on the other side of that building. And we planted a golden weeping willow by the pond. How do you go wrong? And I'm just dying to prune it. It is this massive blob. It went from a 1.25 inch trunk to about 4 inches in one season. This thing is it's thriving, lots of moisture, edge of the pond, but I'm dying to get in there and prune. So I am going to do that whenever I get a chance now. So it has gone completely dormant. I'm not worried about any damage to it. They're perfectly hardy. So the things that you really wait on until the end of the dormant season are things like roses and often hydrangeas that are not exceptionally hardy. They are hardy, however, in bad winters they can be damaged if you've pruned back your roses or your hydrangeas now. And then in January, we have temperatures in the mid-teens, not unusual, happened last year. They can really suffer. Whereas if they have all their growth still present, they might die back. But then into February or anytime in March, when you cut them back more severely, they, you removed all the dead growth, you're cutting back to the healthy growth or healthy wood down below.
Okay.
So those ones you put off. But most hardy, say lilacs and spirea and all the other shrubs, you can prune starting the beginning of January.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Are there any other tasks that you find yourself doing this time of year?
Well, I will say there's no better time to pull weeds. The great thing about weeding right now is they come out so easily. We've had fairly mild weather, so some weeds go dormant like plants and they kind of disappear, but we haven't had a severe freeze that knocks everything down to the ground. So pulling out grassy weeds in our perennial borders, super simple because the ground's so moist.
Right,
They just pull right out.
Yeah.
So weed control, once you've done your weed control, good time to mulch over where those weeds were, good time to consider planting ground cover. So the weeds grew this year, they'll grow next year.
Right.
And if you plant something to cover the ground, back to my purple towers that we just planted out in the field. And mind you, they are way out there. Again, our windbreak. I'm going to underplant them with ground cover just because I think that at least around the plants will establish a ground cover. It is 300 feet of trees. Wow. They're spaced on 40-foot centers, so they're pretty far apart. But just planting underneath each one with ground cover. We want drought tolerance, so I'm thinking Rubus calistenoides, the creeping bramble, drought tolerant.
Yes.
Kinnikinnick, I really like Massachusetts, or any other terribly aggressive ground covers that you might otherwise not plant in an area that's tamed. Because what do we have growing out there right now that is problematic? Poison hemlock, big problem. Hard to pull out too. That one has roots that go down. And Canadian thistle, horsetail, the litany of common weeds growing in the valley, and those are the worst of the worst. And so planting ground cover to at least suppress those. You won't get rid of them, but keep them back away from the trees. We're going to do that as soon as we're done here. I'm going to get out and plant some ground cover underneath those trees.
Oh, I love it. So you're going to do like a mass planting then. That's awesome.
Well, underplanting newly planted trees that are somewhat by themselves, like even that willow tree that we planted, I think, what did we put underneath it? There's some creeping wire vine that we planted. So we planted several other trees around the pond.
Okay.
But boy, that willow looks great. We have a weeping ginkgo too. Super awesome.
Fascinating. I've never seen a weeping
Slow
ginkgo.
as can be. So on the opposite side of the pond, instead of this willow, instead of something like the willow, it's this ginkgo that's grew a little bit. But still, a weeping ginkgo. Doesn't that sound wonderful?
Yeah, that sounds fascinating.
I'll show you what we have going on today.
Yes, please do.
We'll have to be...
Okay. Oh, there's a class, you guys. Look at this. So the cool thing about Christiansons, they always have events even in the winter time. So you're not short of coming to things. They always have an event going on. And look, they're making wreaths right now. Like they have, it's like a whole bar. They have the all of the things that you can put on a wreath. You have the teacher, all of the greens here, and then you can just make your own custom wreath. This is such a fun event to do with family and friends. I love that.
Well, we have, this greenhouse isn't used much at this time of the year. As you can see, it's mostly empty.
Right.
So we trap the heat. So we have the space.
Yeah.
We have 6 wreath making machines.
No kidding.
So we just ask people to call ahead, make reservations.
Yeah.
And this happens to be a class where they're actually doing hand-tied wreaths. So they're not using the machines right now.
Wow.
But if you have greens in your own garden, it might be things as simple as, I'm always impressed with laurel.
Oh, I love laurel.
Laurel is a great, laurel is a hedge, super common. But it's a wonderful green, including bay laurel. This is, this one actually is one that we had at our house. We brought it down to winter it in the greenhouse. But bay laurel is a delightful tree for wreaths. And you've got the fragrance. It happens to be budding up and ready to flower.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I'll point out something about bay laurel that I've admired over the years. how well it does in pots. Look at that trunk.
Yes.
And it's been in this pot
fantastic.
for years and it still thrives.
Yes.
Very few broadleafed evergreens are tolerant of pot culture for a very long time. Eventually the leaves start to look distressed, they're anemic, there's hardly any soil left because, you know, the roots have used it all up. But bay laurel just holds up shockingly well.
Wow.
The only other tree that I've admired that has been in pots for a very long time, I'm talking like 10 or 20 years, olives.
Yes, olives do
They can be
great.
in pots forever.
Forever, and they're just content.
So
No nutrients, just a little bit of water. They're fine.
I visited my sister a couple of years ago. She's in France. Good for her.
Jealous?
And my daughter is there right now
I
to
heard.
surprise her.
I heard.
My sister doesn't see this because it's a surprise. So I don't think she showed up there yet. But her birthday is this month, and they're my sister's partner invited my daughter to surprise her.
Fun.
But anyways, so we're there a couple of years ago. And what do I want to do? But where are the nurseries? So we visited local nurseries, plus my sister needed some landscaping. And they had olives with trunks that were like 10 inches across.
Incredible.
The trees must have been 80 or 90 years old, growing in these big wooden containers.
Yeah.
And I think what they do is they'll dig up orchards as they replenish orchards, probably with fresh plants. And they must transplant well. So now they're in these big pots, totally root bound, looking incredible.
They're so resilient.
That might be an interesting wreath green as well. When you're doing your own wreaths, you could do the most unique of all wreaths.
Right.
Every wreath is a reflection of your garden.
Yes.
We have the most creative people too making wreaths.
Yeah.
And we have our most creative person on the staff is Laura Campbell, who makes all of our wreaths. Does an amazing job.
Is she the one that does the baskets too?
She does the baskets too.
Oh my gosh, you have the best hanging baskets. They're so incredible.
We have the best employees to help.
Yeah. I mean, they're awesome. I think this is what's so cool about Christianson's. It's like, you guys just nailed it with the employees here, like the whole team. Everybody brings some sort of artistic touch in everything they do. It's Primrose with Sarah Jo. It's you with the plants, and everybody else, the staff, they have like their specialty. It's just awesome. Like I get so excited. I want to be adopted by this family.
Well, we do have great employees.
Yes.
And you know, as a rule, people that love plants tend to be great people.
Right, that's true.
I mean, do you know great gardening types that aren't wonderful people as well? So the interest in working here often are, of course, plant enthusiasts.
Right.
Even if they don't know everything, it's that enthusiasm for gardening that really gets your foot in the door.
Right.
And then you can learn on the job.
And then it's contagious.
I'm still learning on the job.
I mean, you are just so knowledgeable. So yeah, camellias. Let's dig into camellias.
So here we go. Yuletide, our #1 camellia for December. Obviously, look at that.
That is
so
magnificent.
Yuletide is Camellias sasanquas. Sasanquas are the first of the flowering camellias in the winter. There's a subseries of Camellias sasanquas called Hymelis, which tend to be the kind of spreading ones like Shonosaki, Shishigashira. They're easy to espalier. So those kind of lanky ground covery types are the best for espaliering. You can do that with almost any camellia, but the ones that kind of stretch are the easiest ones. So debutante is, it's got a little blemishing on that flower, but it's a japonica flowering in December. So having said sasanquas are the first to flower, they are, but debutante in particular is for us the earliest of the japonicas to start flowering.
Wow.
And they're in a sheltered space. We don't heat this greenhouse, but we do protect them so they won't get damaged if we have a big freeze.
Sure.
And japonicas are typically starting to flower in February. Sasanquas started as early as October, and that's most of them, they're in full bloom right now.
Amazing. And they're so forgiving, I think, like camellias.
They
or like,
are, you know, like rhododendrons, which by the way, though, they love much the same conditions. They're entirely unrelated.
Right.
And yet, you know, they like acidic soil, they like lots of spring water, a little more tolerant of dryness in the summer. TACA versus Ericaceae. TACA, the tea family, Camellias, Ericaceae, the heather family, inclusive of all rhododendrons. Wow. So here's a pinkaboo. This is a Monrovia introduction that's a pink Yuletide, basically.
Oh my gosh.
So what's unique about Yuletide is that dark green upright habit. So Pinkaboo is a pink Yuletide.
Wow. And this is new this year?
We've had it now a few years. It is new,
Okay.
but we've had it a few years now.
I might need to take that one home.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And this one is beautiful too, John.
Yeah, so this is one of the Hymalus ones. Hymalus, the label does not say that. Your old Western Sunset Garden book, when it used to be the Bible, which, by the way, time to update the Western Sunset Garden book. You know, with so much information available to us on the computer,
Right.
Those great references are harder to profit from. So whether Sunset Western Garden book will be updated, I'm all in. But that's where you learn, that's where I learned about the sub-series Hymalus. Chansonette has this wonderful formal double, Shishigashir, Shonosaki, also doubles, but also red and pink, slightly different.
Wow.
Yeah, and you noticed all the olives.
Yeah,
this
you guys have so much good product
This
right now.
has one of the sillier names, Little Ollie.
Little Ollie, oh cute.
It's a dwarf.
Yeah, that's adorable.
So in other words, a dwarf form will do exceedingly well in containers. These berries are not connected to Little Ollie, because Little Ollie is fruitless.
Oh,
so this is a bearing form called Haas Improved. Haas and Arbequina are familiar varieties that do well in the Pacific Northwest. Arbequina is the one that's been around forever. So Haas is newer to us, but I think it will do equally as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love this little ollie. Do you, even as like a little hedge?
Yeah.
Or just a single container, like a patio?
Again, as a potted plant, awesome.
That's fantastic.
And
Come buy this, you
like
guys.
I said, it'll last in a pot for, ever.
Right.
80 years.
That's incredible.
You still have to care for them, but their susceptibility to severely getting stressed out in a pot, it would have to be utter neglect for months, because otherwise you can neglect them quite a bit and they do great.
Our olive tree, we rescued it from a vineyard. It was a really popular vineyard in Oregon bought it. They put it downstairs in their cellar, and then it started to drop leaves because there's no light. And then, so the nursery took it back, and then we went there, and the owner, his name is Pete, and I'm like, Pete, what's going on with this olive? He's like, do you want it for a really good price? It was a beautiful olive tree, and I was like, yes, and it bounced right back. Beautiful.
They will recover.
Yes.
I'll just point out all the fun citrus that we have at this time of the year.
You do. Are these orange? What are these? Are these lemons?
That looks like a lemon.
Wow.
And sure enough, that's Myers.
Myers. Yeah. Oh, I love
So Myers
lemon.
is our #1 lemon. And it has the longest flowering season, the longest fruiting season. I love the variegated lead forms. And these are all different varieties.
Holy cow.
None of which are reliable out of doors.
Okay.
Don't look at this one. I just cut it back.
You just cut it back.
I think it just got a little dry yesterday. So pruning citrus, easy way to get them to recover. Just like with that olive, a lot of plants that are super stressed out, giving them haircuts stimulates those buds that might be latent, encourages them to put out new growth. And
do we need a greenhouse if we want?
Greenhouse, or the ideal indoor space would be near a sunny window. They like more humidity.
Okay.
So having a saucer with pebbles and water under it.
Okay.
If you've got a well-lit bathroom, perfect. But they need that protection during the winter. Set them outside, usually at the end of April.
End of April. Got it. Okay. So far we've learned that you need to plant. You can prune back a lot of your perennials, but wait till the roses and hydrangeas. Mulch is a good fall task. Is there anything else you're doing? Are you doing any hardscaping or anything like that?
It is actually a good time to transplant. So as an example, if you have a Shasta daisy, it's gotten too big. Shasta daisies
you know who you are.
They're so healthy. And ours is years old. We're going to be digging, and we did this a few years ago, but every few years, dig up the whole plant, chop it up into smaller clumps, replant a smaller clump, spread the new ones out and about. We'll pot some up and sell them as well. So very vigorous perennials, easy to dig and transplant at this time of the year. Trees and shrubs. I mean, trees obviously at a certain size would be too laborious, but if you've got a 2-inch caliper tree that you just realize, wow, that is too close to the house, or it's too close to each other, whatever. It's a great time to transplant. Conifers that are kind of difficult, like I regard arborvitaes as easy.
Right.
You can dig up an arborvitae and transplant it successfessly. Digging a hinoki cypress, a little trickier.
Right.
The root balls are more sensitive. The balls have to be a little bigger. Now's the time to do it.
Right.
Because they've got months to recover from being dug. If you transplant them, say in March, you can. But boy, that window of time to recover from that move is very short. Spring growth is going to happen. The roots that got cut off haven't started to reemerge yet. So you are dealing with a severely stressed out plant in the spring that transplanting now, the success is so much higher.
Okay.
Again, that goes back to all the bald and burlap trees that we got. Those were dug in November. That is the beginning of the digging season, and it is the safest time to dig most of those trees, like those magnolias we looked at.
Okay. I'm so happy because we move trees often just because we run out of space, and then we get excited about something, and then we come out to like Christianson's and we see a tree and we're like, well, we don't have that. What can we move? And I think it always startles people when we tell them we move trees. I'm not going to move a massive tree, obviously, but one that's been in the ground for only like 3-4 years, I'm like, oh, I'm moving you. Yeah, like you're going to be moved, and they're fine. Yeah, because we do it at the right time.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Transplanting roses, often people will decide they want more roses in a certain area, and maybe they're not as pleased with one rose. They can transplant it to the edge of the garden. Right. Roses are shockingly easy to transplant. I have transplanted them even in the summer months. You just cut them down to 18 inches, removing almost all the leaves, replant them, and their success rate's really high. So they're surprisingly tolerant, roses. The other very tolerant plant would be rhododendrons and azaleas. That shallow root system makes them so easy to dig. It is the best time to do it now, but that's an example of a plant that you can transplant almost any time.
Right.
Hey, while we're standing here, I want to dismiss all the poinsettias because I love this plant so much more. What I like about Schlumbergia, it used to be called zygo cactus, Christmas cactus is a common name. These are an example of a plant that will last in a pot for years and years and years. Poinsettias, let's face it, people do grow them as houseplants, but nobody has a poinsettia 5 years later. Right. You're kind of lucky if you get 2 years out of them. Yeah. They're wonderfully showy, and certainly at this time of the year, it's the most popular plant for the holidays. Right. But this is such an easy houseplant. Right. This will tolerate neglect. Right. And still thrive.
Do you do any special maintenance with these once they're done flowering? Do you take them outside during the summertime?
They certainly can be grown outside, but they really can be grown inside as long as you have a bright, sunny window. And as long as you are capable of neglect. Okay. Most of us are.
I totally am. Raising my hand.
So you can kill them with kindness. Too much water is probably the number one reason. They can be fairly root bound eventually. Yeah. You'll need to graduate them to bigger pots. Okay. But overwatering or perhaps not enough sun. So the two things that might limit their thriving would be too much water. They will die if you keep it up. Or too much shade, and they just kind of get lanky. Okay. But we've got one in the corner of this greenhouse that's related. It's Easter cactus. It was from my wife's Annie Alice. She gave it to us in the 1990s. She had it for decades. It's just growing in a pot. Yeah. And we're doing a good job of neglecting. And it flowers every year.
Yeah, that's amazing.
With so little attention.
I love houseplants that take neglect, because once spring rolls around, I forget I even have anything green inside. I'm just like, oh yes, I have a houseplant.
Oh, here's a trimmed up olive. So this is that same little ollie that we looked at in the 2-gallon pot. Here's one that's trained into a topiary form.
Topiary, yeah. It's interesting to see what people are doing with like standards and topiaries this time. Yeah. Or I guess in the last couple of years, when we were in England, oh my gosh, they do so much cool stuff. Well, you can't help but be
inspired.
Oh yeah.
I know.
It's fascinating.
We'll actually have every topiary plant that we can get our hands on. Right. Those olives are grown by Monrovia in California. Mm-hmm. This Raphiolepis, this is
oh my goodness.
Raphiolepis Majestic Beauty. Wow. So as a topiary standard, awesome. We saw the Yuletide camellia in the beginning. That was a topiary form.
Wow.
Boxwoods are very traditional as a topiary form, and frankly, one of the easier things to maintain as a topiary.
Right. So as we start to kind of wind down this tour, which I could talk to you all day, you should definitely be writing a book, John. I keep, every time I see his daughter Emma or John or Tony, anybody, I'm like, is John writing a book yet? Like, does he have a book deal yet? Because people would go crazy
if I wrote a book, it would most certainly be my wife's writing and my my influence, because she actually Toni Christianson is an amazing writer.
She's just an incredible human. Let me tell you, I've met her. I'm in love with her. I love her. Sergey loves her. They had a really fun conversation.
And her writing is so good. I mean, I certainly love what I do, but her, you know how it is with writing. You can be very factual and dull, or very inspirational, and she's just has a way. Toni's
a storyteller. The both of you are, and I think you both complement each other perfectly. Well, perfectly.
Thank you.
I'm going to talk to Toni after this. So as we start winding down, then John, let's talk a little bit about some trends that are coming up.
Let me just point out.
Oh yeah. Oh look, we have a customer with the bare root.
I got the call an hour.
Nice. So, it's a beautiful tree.
That is Montmorency cherry.
Wow.
So Montmorency is still the #1 sour cherry that thrives in the Northwest. Sour cherries in general do. There's others, but Montmorency is, you know, Thomas Jefferson's favorite cherry, and it has a long history. So bare root season is upon us.
You have, and I will say this on camera in front of everybody, you have the best selection of bare root trees, period.
You were here last year. Yeah,
yes, I was.
Yeah,
if you're looking for a persimmon, you buy it from John Christianson. Like, you buy it here. They are the best branching. They're beautiful.
Well, we love bare root. We love it because it's so easy. They're less expensive because they're not potted. That's why they're so easy, because they're not lugging around pots. And it falls in that season where the success rate's so high. So now through March, plants are completely dormant. This goes back to getting people to buy plants at a time of the year when their enthusiasm for being outside is not real high. But the selection's at its very best. And this whole time that we've been talking, it hasn't rained.
Right, and it's
In other words, you could easily have dug a hole.
Right.
And then you head to the nursery in the rain. It's easy enough to shop and buy a tree.
Sure.
Get it home, stick it in, backfill, you're done.
And then reward yourself with a hot cup of cocoa.
Yes,
so there you go. So, and this is the great thing of, again, living in the Pacific Northwest. Nurseries here, the good nurseries, are always packed with really good selection. And when do you guys typically get your bare roots, so people know?
Well, it started last week. That's the beginning of December.
Okay.
And we get orders in almost every week through January.
Through January.
So, you know, this is just the beginning right now. We haven't, the pears should be, or the apples should be coming this week.
Fantastic.
Pears we got last week, along with the cherries and plums. So our #1 pear would be Orchis pear. Orchis is a local discovery, proven by the Mount Vernon Research Station to do exceedingly well. Cherry, the #1 cherry, Rainier cherry.
Rainiers,
we sell out of those every year. That and Bing cherry is still really popular.
I love Bing cherries. They're delicious. They're great.
And it happens that they both need pollinization. So Rainier and Bing are good companions.
So you should get the two then.
You should get one of each.
Okay, fantastic. Well, if you want the cream of the crop, pay attention. You guys do a really good job about posting it on Instagram when things are in. So,
and we will have our list up online too.
Oh, fantastic.
We get everything. So,
So in terms of 2026 is right around the corner. What are you looking forward to? Are you thinking about any garden trends that like a home gardener should think about? A plant, a tree. Is there something in the air that you're seeing as a company, as a salesman also, that you're seeing a trend or people are wanting more of?
Well, I think the trend has been, and it will continue, for all things edible.
Edibles.
I mean, blueberries. Wow, we sell blueberries like crazy year round, and we get them in bare root, but they're a great potted plant later in the season. So edibles, doing the kind of food forest thing where, not everybody can have a big chestnut and then a filbert tree, and then, caneberries, blueberries, grapes. But you can do that on a small scale. Edible landscapes sometimes are equally as beautiful as ornamental landscapes. And that Rubus callicinoides that we're going to plant underneath our purple towers. that's an edible, wonderful, delicious fruit on a ground cover that only gets 6 inches tall. So kind of doing that layer of edibles, but also low maintenance. And, you know, it's easy as a longtime gardener to acknowledge, you know, a lot of our favorite plants are far from low maintenance.
Right.
I mean, I talked about those potted things because they're so uniquely low maintenance. The bay laurel and the olives, super low maintenance. Everything else, you know, it is a job. And yet people have less time. So low maintenance. In the case of trees, it's eliminating pest problems. And that would be, for instance, dogwoods. You know, you should be planting Asiatic dogwoods or hybrids of Asiatic dogwoods. Cornus cusa varieties. They don't get a lot of the spottiness that comes with our native dogwood. Cornus natalii, boy, it looks horrible in the summer. Right. Beautiful in the spring when it flowers. But if you plant Venus,
I love Venus.
Venus is awesome. Doesn't have the disease problems, but the flowers are twice as big. Amazing. So that's an example of low maintenance. And by the way, let me say it again, fall planting will eliminate a lot of time next year, which the #1 maintenance task is watering.
Okay.
So watering is key to success when you plant in the spring. It's important with any plant that's young.
Sure.
But if you plant in the fall, you've got a much better chance of those plants rooting and being way more established in the spring than spring planted plants.
Okay. You know, this year my goal was to add more edibles into our garden, and I didn't get to that because I just got too distracted with all the flowers. And then I thought, Claudia, you had this whole game plan and you abandoned it when you saw all the pretty flowers. But like we got in a bunch of blueberries. Sergey went on a shopping spree and bought a bunch of grapes from Hawaii. I'll have to tell you that story. That was interesting.
Oh, Hawaii, well known for its grapes.
Yeah. Just I'm like, where did you even find these? They're from Japan, but they grow them in Hawaii, and that's how he got them. Very interesting. But he's really into grapes right now as well. The other thing that I'm thinking about, is there a style of gardening that you're seeing more? I'm just seeing a lot more people wanting more naturalistic type of planting and that English cottage English
and that's
vibe.
where the pollinator gardens, the butterfly gardens, the English style gardens, all of them are kind of familiar and similar. A lot of herbaceous perennials, some shrubs, often with formal edging, you know, like in our garden in the schoolhouse, our edging is a espaliered apple tree, 18 inches tall, easy, you know, boxwoods, common hedging. So you have a little bit of that formality in its defined edging, but everything else inside is billowing with attractive plants for pollinators, butterflies, and humans. So many great perennial choices that, and so what's new in perennials? I don't know, every year there's always so much new, usually new within the same groups, you know, new hostas, new echinaceas. I have to say, you know, 20 years ago, I'd never heard of Gara.
Yeah.
And
oh
now
my gosh,
Gara,
I love
there are
Gara.
all these new Gara, you know. But did I know what a Gara was? I do know that the marketing team at Proven Winners did not name Gara.
No, they did not.
So
Gara is having a moment. It's like the it girl right
well,
now. One of them.
Flowering season, terrific butterfly attractant. So yeah, just a delightful plant. So yeah, I
Good
definitely see the pollinating garden, butterfly gardens, edible gardens.
Being more, even more.
And again, you know, it's probably the maintenance part. People are always looking for lower maintenance. And get your garden prepared in the fall for spring, and your spring will be a lot easier.
Got it. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, that was so good, John. That was perfect. I like, if I talked over you.
You make it easy.
Oh, thank you. I always feel like, okay, don't talk over people because I get so excited. And then my subscribers are like, you're talking over everybody. I'm like, I just get so excited. I can't, like, I'm trying really, really, really hard.
It would be hard.
It's so hard. When you're just excited, it's just, you can't, you're not easily excitable.
I don't think you talked over.
Oh, thank you.
I don't.
Thank you. Anyways, guys, that will wrap it up for today's video with John and the tour of the nursery right now, and also just talking about what we need to be doing in our garden in the wintertime. I feel more confident now, I think, like especially one of the things I need to work on is transplanting and dividing. So now I feel like, okay, this is the time to do it. I think last year I tried it in the springtime in hindsight, I wish I would have done it in the fall time.
Well, I mean, that would be typical. People
Right.
think about it in the spring. They're in the garden in the spring. So
Yeah.
it is pretty irresistible. But
Yeah.
cold, wet, and miserable. That's when you get outside.
Yeah, this is the time to be
Or
doing
in
that
the,
right
in the
now.
window of weather that's cooperative
Yeah.
in December. You know, in January is also good. Gets a little colder.
Yeah.
You know, there are still challenges. The great thing about having a nursery in the Pacific Northwest is we're open all winter long, and there's winter interests.
Right.
We're not like the Midwest or you know, Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon, where there's not a whole lot you
Yeah.
can do in the winter.
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah, we're lucky. Like,
are.
not to brag, but this
No.
is a great part. But and it is true. Like, I feel like for as much as we complain about the rain, how blessed are we? You know
We
what I
are,
mean? Like,
yeah.
we're really, really blessed for everything that we have here.
Yeah, without it, we'd be very limited. With it, we
Right.
can do so much.
We can,
Yeah.
for sure. So I hope you guys are inspired now to get out into your garden or come out to the nursery and buy some trees, some shrubs, some plants. I think I might need to take one more swipe at those camellias because some of them just look pristine and like something I really need. We will be back for the witch hazels next week.
Yeah.
So we'll be
Perfect.
back for that. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Well, thank you.
And educating us, inspiring us. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.